Hi everyone. The outer planets, the heavy hitters as I call them, sitting at 0, 1, 2 degrees of the respective signs. I'm talking about Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune in Aries, and Uranus in Gemini. This is the setup about on the 22nd of September when the sun will have shifted into Libra, and we have Venus and Mars in September that are going to shift into different signs. There's two things I want to say about this. One is that these planets have been really hovering at the first degrees of these signs. They are also, and you've probably heard me say this, in flowing aspects to each other. So Neptune will be sextiling Uranus, and Pluto flowing energy. Don't have to work too hard to make things happen. Pluto and Uranus will trine each other, and that's an even more flowing energy because they are in two signs of the same element, two air signs. This is going to go on, has been going on, and is going to go on until the 22nd of October. Neptune is going to break up the trio and move back into Pisces. But then by 2026, and by the way, Uranus is going to do the same. Uranus will go back into Taurus on November 7th. But by the 26th of January of 2026, Neptune will be back, and by the 25th of April of 2026, Uranus will be back, so we'll still have that same dynamic. There are two things I want to tell you. I've talked about this flowing energy together in other videos. Okay, so maybe three things. Let me just briefly recap this. Pluto in Aquarius is about power to the people. Pluto will be there 20 years until about 2044. Neptune in Aries is going to be about ideals, all of us identifying with our ideals, being very idealistic, very visionary. It can also give us very strong leaders that are going to be having us identify with ideals. I did a video about Saturn being along there for the ride. Saturn's going to give those people a reality check, also give us a reality check as well. And of course, Uranus and Gemini, I have two videos, is just the communication revolution, tech revolution. And I said in one of the videos, beware a little bit what great technological things you are being given. It is not, a pure gift. It's a gift, I think, with strings attached. We saw other manifestations or other times Uranus was in Gemini, the invention of the printing press. Wonderful, great, but what are you being given as a book? What type of information are you being given? The King James Bible was written at or under another Uranus and Gemini cycle and was printed. Of course, by then we had printing, so we could make several copies of the same book. And just, without reiterating the whole video, King James, 1st of England, 6th of Scotland, was quite particular, was a great believer in witches and witchcraft. And I don't mean Wicca, people who honor the goddess. I mean, women who are possessed of the devil. So what type of version of the Bible did that give us? Debatable. But, all those ideas of here's this wonderful tool. I talked about also the last manifestation from 1941 to 1949. The Nazis had, under their propaganda minister, had cheap radios mass produced so everybody in Germany could have a radio. This is way before TV. Wonderful, you think they can all listen to music? No, it's so they could listen to German propaganda. So always that sort of two-sided sword or that two-sided coin going on. But what I did want to tell you is while this is going on, and I will try to remember to put the dates up on screen because this is happening now and this will come back again in 2026. If you have anything at 0, 1, 2 degrees of your chart, be it one of the planets, be it because you are early born of any sign or you are early rising, these planets will be making aspects to that planet or to your sun or to your rising. And this is powerful. Pluto is all about power and control and complete transformation. Neptune, as I said, is visionary, but it also has a quality of fleeing reality and of deception. And of course, Uranus is just shock. Uranus rules electricity, so it's just shocking change. Uranus, I always say, functions in fits and starts. So just something that shocks us out of the blue, out of our routine. It can be us initiating it, rebelling, or it can just be something that's going to completely blow the doors off, open our eyes, and make us see things quite differently. The last thing I want to talk about, because I don't want to make this too long, in September, of course, Venus arriving in Virgo will make aspects to these three. Mars arriving in Scorpio will make aspects to these three, and so will the Sun. Mars arrives in Scorpio on the 22nd of September, will square Pluto, harsh energy. That's one thing or the other, right? There's no harmony there. And quincunx Uranus and Neptune, also harsh energy. But a Mars-Pluto square, I've done videos on this in the past. Expect something to happen. And as I said again, September 18th when September 22nd when Mars arrives in Scorpio, and easily to about the 27th and to the 27th, 28th. Mars, of course, is fire. You've heard me often say Mars is the god of war. So there's conflict. There can be violent reactions. Can be energy of confrontation. Remember, we are talking the god of war versus the god of the underworld. Nobody is going to back down. We can see things like natural disasters. We can see struggles, aggression. Very sudden because of Uranus. I also thought related to tech because of Uranus. So this might not be, hand-to-hand fighting in the street, but it could be some sort of technological confrontation. Some sort of cyber attack or cyber hack. With Neptune in the mix, quincunx to Neptune, this could be under false pretenses. Remember, Neptune is a lot of illusion and irreality. And of course, square to Pluto, just a power struggle. Sometimes Mars can represent young men or the military or just maybe an organized group. When I talk about, maybe a technological or cyber attack or some sort of hack because of Uranus in the mix. Venus arriving in Virgo, and that is going to be on the 19th, so just a couple of days. We'll stay there about 3 weeks, but this will be an aspect from the 19th through about to the 22nd. Venus will square Uranus and quincunx Pluto and Neptune. So again, harsh energies. Venus and Uranus, we'll see strange bedfellows, as I like to call them. We can see sudden but unlikely alliances that seem strange or unusual. We can see deviousness and charm in order to get power. That is Venus-Pluto aspect. As much as Venus's charm and diplomacy and win-win and, wants everybody to feel great, she can take on a bit of a deviousness aspect, especially in interaction with Pluto or in aspect to Pluto. This can be even illusion and deception, of course. That's because of Neptune. If Mars confronts to get what he wants, Venus seduces. But I wrote wily charms and get the feeling Venus can be really a little bit manipulative within these aspects. Venus is the diplomat and represents diplomats in mundane astrology because she is about peace and harmony. But as I said, in aspect to Pluto, she has this edge and she's on this mission. There's a desire underneath all that to have control and to have power. Venus could definitely represent a woman. So maybe this unlikely combination, I said, could be a woman and someone else, or two women who are, allying together and we're thinking, couldn't see them working together type of thing. Or it could very much have something to do with women's issues or women's rights. Finally, just wanted to talk about the Sun arrives in Libra on the 22nd. Right, arrives in Libra on the 22nd. The Sun will oppose Neptune, not as harsh as a square. There is a chance to find balance there. Will trine Pluto and Uranus. So the Sun is making very harmonious aspects to these three. Things will be much smoother, and it'll draw, instead of like they're confronting each other, it'll draw on the strengths of all of them. The Sun can very much represent a man or a male energy. Remember I say man or woman, it can just be more of a male energy or a female energy also. A leader that isn't spinning an image or that is doing something, I keep saying, this could be false prophets, leaders that are spinning an illusion with a lot of idealism, with Neptune and ARIES, but they're not actually who they say they are or their goals. They have like a hidden agenda going on type of thing. But in this case, we can see a leader often a man, a middle-aged man that is not spinning an image or who seems very, very idealistic. He wants balance as opposed to single-mindedness, because remember, the sun will be sitting in the 7th house of partners, yeah, business partners, mentors, close friends, also rivals in the competition. Neptune across, of course, in the 1st house, more individualistic energy, but someone who wants balance, wants fairness. Maybe one of the people, remember I said Pluto in Aquarius is very much power to the people energy, so someone who will come out of the masses or very much, in sync in energy with the masses. Of course, these two are trining because they are both air signs. And it could be someone that is going to do this through technology. Can be something sudden. Maybe this person will emerge suddenly, or maybe they will do something sudden related to technology. Maybe that is the big boom that will push them into the spotlight or into the forefront, because they have some technological solution or some new invention. And that, of course, is the aspect to Uranus. We actually have a lot of flowing energy here. We have a grand air trine between these 3 air signs, Uranus in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius, and the Sun in Libra. So a lot of concepts, ideas, a lot of ability to communicate as well. So guys, briefly, that is what I wanted to tell you. Do check your charts, see if you have anything at the very first degrees of any sign, and see what house it's in, and do know where this will affect you the most. But it is also going to affect us, more in that precise house. But because we're talking already 3 planets, there's a lot of that energy going on. I get the feeling of like just almost volcano exploding, things rumbling underfoot, a lot of happening, a lot of going on, and we're going to feel we're struggling to get our footing, but at the same time, it has the feeling of newness, of excitement, and of empowering as well. Remember, Pluto is all about being able to transform and is all about power and control. Uranus shakes things up, does it very suddenly, but the best thing is not to hold on as much as possible or as tightly as possible to the way things were done or the way we were, and sort of embrace this newness, right? Doesn't mean completely, you're thinking, oh, I can't just completely change things up. I say that as a fixed sign, Taurus, with a fixed rising, which is Scorpio, but there is potential in this newness. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So again, let me know what you think. I love to read all your comments. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.